You are listening to the Horse Radio Network, part of the Equine Network family.
This is episode 190 of the Healthy Critters Radio on the Horse Radio Network. Healthy Critters Radio is brought to you by BioStar US. Find them online at biostarus.com.
On today's show, we chat with Ashley Hebrank about Magna Wave PEMF therapy. The critter of the show is the squirrel. In Critter Nutrition, we share must-haves for your tack trunk. And in Coffee Klatch, we ask, does your dog get table scraps? Join us. I'm Tigger.
And I'm Patty.
And I'm Coach Jen. Thanks for joining us here on Healthy Critters Radio. We've got the trio here this time. Yay!
Woohoo!
Yay! Yay! Everybody showed up. This is the part of the show where Jen gets to quiz Patty and Tigger about something. Because yes, they did show up, but no, they didn't have everything ready. So it's my turn. It's my turn. Well, later in the show, we're going to chat a little bit about must-haves for your tack trunk.
Yes.
But this time around, we're coming up on the Thanksgiving holiday. And for those of you who are outside of the United States, the Thanksgiving holiday is good for three things: football, eating large amounts of food, and getting into arguments with your family that will last until after Christmas. That's what it's for. So, Tigger.
Yes.
For the Thanksgiving holiday, do your non-human family members get any treats or special treatment?
No. and I say this because, with love, because neither do the humans. We really don't, we don't do turkey. We don't do any of that. Yeah. I mean, it's a day of Thanksgiving, but it's not food oriented.
Well, gosh, you make me feel like a schmuck. I'm all about the whole, gobble a lot of food down and stuff. Now, some places have horse shows on Thanksgiving weekend. Where do you fall on that? I'm guessing that you're gonna go. Sure, why not?
Me?
Yeah, you.
Yeah, horse showing?
Yeah.
No.
Because I know.
Because I don't care what, because I'm not doing it.
I'm not doing it. Okay. Now, Patty, your question for you is: what is the single food item that must always be consumed at your Thanksgiving table?
Oh, hands down, turkey with cranberries.
Scott, so you're into the
like
turkey. Interesting. So it's the meat for you.
Oh, big time. Yeah, big time.
There you go. And do your horses get special Thanksgiving treats?
No, they don't.
I don't want to be your horse. I want treats, damn it.
Well, I give them, here's the thing. They get
treats every day.
Yeah. I mean, they're just like, every day for them is Thanksgiving. They get treats every day. They get their carrots, they get their snacks. I mean, every day they get snacks. So as my friend Terry says, they get snacks. They got to have snacks in your pocket. You got to give them snacks. They get snacks every day for just showing, for just breathing,
for just
showing
existing.
up. They get snacks. Now I will tell you, I'll give my dogs a little bit of the turkey. Not a lot.
Tigger, plug your ears, Tigger. La 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 la.
Well,
that's a conversation for later on.
Be all about the meat. She'll be all about the meat.
There we go. Well, that's very interesting. So, if you have special treats that you give your non-human family members on Thanksgiving, we want to hear about it. Head on over to Facebook and type in Healthy Critters Radio. They have an official Facebook page, by the way, and put it on there. And even better, put a picture up there of said non-human family members eating said treats at Thanksgiving. We'd love to see treats.
Okay.
Jennifer,
I love it.
I would like to know, I would like to put the question to you. What is your focus food on Thanksgiving?
My focus food on Thanksgiving is dessert. Always dessert.
Of course.
Yes.
And may I
Okay.
guess, is it pumpkin pie?
Pumpkin pie. The more pumpkin pie, the
come on.
better.
Wow,
Yeah.
I just find it so revolting.
Oh, I love pumpkin pie.
I do
Ooh,
not
love it.
like pumpkin pie.
Is there a kind of pie you do like, Tigger?
Oh, yes. There are many that I like.
And if you were to have a substitute pie on a random holiday that you do celebrate, what pie would it be?
Oh, chocolate cream.
Chocolate cream. Not what I would have guessed. I was going to choose it. I thought it might be a fruit pie, but chocolate cream pie. Interesting.
Or coconut cream or banana cream. Just give me the cream.
It's hard to pull off a coconut cream pie. Yeah. So if you have a really good coconut cream pie recipe, go over to
Send
Facebook.
it to me.
Let's go to Facebook, put it on the Healthy Critters radio page because I want to hear it because I do love myself some pie.
Yeah. We are here happily with Ashley Hebrank, and she's going to talk to us about Magna Wave PEMF therapy. I want to tell you guys a little bit about Ashley. She has a company called All Equine Things. She has 30 years experience in horses, including as an owner, rider, working student, groom, farm manager, and vet tech. She's grown up in Pony Club, did 4-H, rode event horses, and she has a very holistic approach to health and wellness after years of experience in both the small animal and equine veterinary world. So she uses complementary therapeutic modalities, including PEMF, for peak health and performance. You can find out more information in our show notes on her website, allequinethings.com. So welcome, Ashley.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
So I guess the first question is, what is PEMF? How did you get into this particular area of therapy?
PEMF stands for Pulsed Electromagnetic Field. And I got into it, I saw it many, many years ago. It's been around for many years. But I saw it initially back in the day when I was an equine vet tech, and I knew some friends that were using it, but I wasn't really exposed to it a lot from the practitioner standpoint at that time. And then fast forward many years to where I am now, and now I use it. I do a lot of work with people that are coming to compete at the Kentucky Horse Park because I live very close to that. And, we've got a lot of horses in the Lexington area that benefit greatly from everything that PEMF has to offer. So it is a non-invasive, drug-free therapeutic modality that is used to deliver beneficial electromagnetic energy to the body at the cellular level to refuel cells, induce the body's innate recycling system, and optimize natural biological processes so that the cells can function properly and efficiently.
What is it about this particular therapy? Now, I go back to the days of Centurion and the old electromagnetic blanket, and, which I thought was a fantastic therapy, even though it was rather, large and I want to say clumsy.
Heavy.
Yes.
And cumbersome. Yeah.
Yeah, very cumbersome. How does Magna Wave differ?
So Magna Wave, there are several PEMF similar to the Centurion products that are currently available now in the form of blankets and leg wraps. And those are going to be lower powered PEMF devices. And I want to just say that any PEMF is good. There's no good or bad. I think they both have their place. The Magna Wave products are a high powered device. So they penetrate the body tissues more than the lower powered devices and therefore have better results.
So I'm going to throw this over to Patty, who actually has a Magna Wave.
Ew. Well, so I got introduced to it when I first moved to Texas back in 2013, and I had not known anything about it. And of course, like Tigger, Tigger and I are old school Florida people, and when things would come out like the blankets, we were always exposed to it. I was very interested in magnets years ago. And so when I was first introduced to it, it was when they were doing, and I don't know what type of machine you have, Ashley, but the larger ones that I think are called analog that you have to pull. But a lot of I was so fascinated by the science of it, but also the woman that was going around, and it was a big, huge hit in Texas, whether it was cutting horses or hunters, dressage, whatever. And so I was fascinated by it then, moved back to Virginia. This is just sort of an interesting thing, Tigger, and was not at all a thing and was not well received. Where in Texas, the vets are like, oh my gosh, find someone who can Magna Wave, make sure it's a practitioner that's gone through the certification, blah, 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 blah. And back in Virginia, the vets are a lot more reluctant about it. And then when I moved back up to Fort Worth, that's when we bought our machine. And I've had my own personal experience. I broke my foot when I first moved here. And after I knew that what type fracture and whatever, I used it to help increase the blood flow and take pain away for my foot. So I know, firsthand that it's a big benefit. So what are the I mean, we could go on about this forever, but one of the most recent things that I did is I had a horse with an abscess and had them, stand on the box and the plate, and ended up helping get the abscess to come through. Can you explain to everybody, because obviously you've obviously probably done the Magna Wave certification through the company, but what is the number one thing that you find most beneficial in all the different modalities it has? But what's the biggest thing that you find that people use it for?
Well, I would say one of the major benefits of it is that when you can apply the coils on the body, you may or may not know that you've got that abscess brewing or a particular injury somewhere in the body. Maybe it hasn't shown up yet outwardly. You can put the coils on to Magna Wave, and the energy will find the cells that are damaged, and it will trigger the body's recycling system that's already installed. We all have that. The body already does it, but the energy goes in, finds the damaged cells, and helps the body to either repair those cells or get rid of them, so that it can generate new cells that will work properly. So that's one of the major benefits, because we've all been in situations where, you're watching a horse go and you can tell there's something not quite right, maybe behind, and the vet's been out and you've done the x-rays and you've done, all sorts of various diagnostics, but it's still kind of questionable. It's still not quite right. And so sometimes the Magna Wave can be used as a way to help the vets kind of identify where the situation is happening and what's going on. And the higher powered machines, the Magna Wave devices, are high powered enough to where it is actually not only helping relieve pain, but it's also actually healing at the cellular level. And so the machine itself or the energy itself is not healing. The machine is not healing, but it is giving the body the energy that it needs so that it can heal itself.
Hattie, I'm going to step in here just quickly and ask, is the effect of the energy on nitric oxide production?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes. And minimization of the oxidative stress. And yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, Patty, your turn.
So that all ties in, because basically what I was going to say in layman terms, what it really helps do is increase the blood flow, and the more you have oxygenated blood going through a horse's body, or a dog or a cat or a person, obviously the body helps heal itself, and that's kind of one of the biggest principles. I think that we have our own machine, and we use it once a week just for therapy, just to basically help, like you were saying earlier, just, you don't know what's going on in their body. They may have, they may be a little tight through the right side of their pole or their neck or whatever, and you can address it, and you can literally see sometimes that, the horses start to, the muscles will tense up and then release, and the horses start to chew, and you'll see, how they like it. Would you say, do you have clients that just that you have them come out once a week or once every couple? Like, how is your business based off of what you're doing?
Yeah, so I do kind of what it has to be kind of individualized what each horse needs, and that is dependent on so many factors. What kind of work are they doing? Do they have any existing or old injuries? Sometimes conformation can play into it, as far as some conformation flaws require some additional maintenance, just from the way they are built makes them kind of sore. So I do whatever the horses need and kind of what their bodies tell me they need. So I've got some horses that do maintenance once a week. I've got some that do twice a month or maybe once a month. I've got some that like to do once they get to the show venue. It can be great for helping kind of release the tension that they built up in the trailer on the hall there, or being in the stall, or maybe they bumped a leg and he didn't have a swollen leg when I put him on the trailer, but now he does. So it can be really great for that kind of stuff as well.
So that leads into. Oops. Sorry. I'm going to say this real quick, because this is something important to know, because there are FEI approved Magna Wave therapies, and there's some non-FEI approved. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yes. So the FEI, it is FEI legal, but they do have some restrictions. So not every machine is able to be used during events. So I have one of the FEI approved machines. It's small, so it's easy for me to transport around, for one. And then secondly, you do need to get approval from the presiding FEI vet in order to use it once competition starts. But it's usually a pretty simple process. It's based on the machine's energy output. There are restrictions in the FEI rules. So there's just a couple of Magna Wave has 2 machines, I believe, that are FEI approved.
Right. Okay. Sorry, Tigger, what were you going to ask her?
I was going to ask what's a typical charge for getting a Magna Wave treatment?
Like a per session charge?
A cost, yeah.
Okay. It kind of varies depending on the area, I would say. And I've worked with several people that come to the horse park, and they're from all over, and they'll say, my local person charges me, $50, and then you've got somebody that will say, how much do you charge? Oh, my person usually charges me, $120. So there's quite a range where it kind of depends on what area you're in, how many practitioners are there, that sort of thing.
Okay. Do you do anything with lasers or any other modalities, and can you compare them?
Mm-hmm. I don't do lasers currently. I do like the red light therapy, which can be used in conjunction with the PEMF. So obviously the red light therapy is using light energy versus the electromagnetic energy, and the red light doesn't penetrate quite as deeply. I like to use it for kind of skin conditions. It's good for wound healing or surgical incisions. In cases where you maybe you do want to increase the circulation, but maybe you don't want to do it to the extent that Magna Wave would do it. For example, there was a horse that, who knows how it happened, but he had a severe injury to his throat, where he had a cut where the trachea and the jugular vein were exposed, and the vets tried to suture it. The sutures wouldn't hold, and so because those structures were exposed, I wouldn't want to Magna Wave that. I don't want to rupture anything that doesn't need to rupture at that point. So the red light therapy is really good in those sort of situations. The caveat with the red light therapy, obviously, you have to know where to put the light pad. Whereas with the Magna Wave penetrates deeper, it increases the circulation more, and you don't necessarily need to know the specific localized area that you're working with. It's going to penetrate into the body 16 inches or so, and so it's going to cover a larger surface area.
How long is the treatment time?
It depends. When I do a full body, like a maintenance full body, not at the show, that can take, I'd say it takes anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes.
Okay.
The sessions at the shows are a bit shorter because I want the horses to feel their best, to be as loose and limber and supple as possible, but I don't want to induce a detox situation in their body where they're going to experience. Some horses will experience kind of a situation where they feel a little worse before they feel really good. And so I don't want to induce that at the show. I just want them to have just enough, energy to get rid of some soreness and tension so they can feel their best and work their best, perform.
Would you do a session before they go to the ring or after they come back from the ring, or both?
I try to space the sessions out at the shows. I've tried to put about 24 hours in between. If you were just going to do a quickie, you probably could do a quick 10-minute on a very low setting and be just fine doing that. But I think that it kind of depends on the horse. Some horses, you can work them right after a session. Some horses get really energized after their sessions, and some get real sleepy. So if you would want to kind of test that out before you go to the show. Magna waving for the first time during the competition is not really advised, just because you don't really know, is he going to be energized? Is he going to want to go sleep?
Right.
And you need to kind of monitor the hydration levels and, be prepared to possibly give some extra electrolytes if they look like they're getting kind of puny. But that would usually only happen if you've done a longer session and induced the detox.
Do you find that they pee more afterwards?
Yes. Yep, they sure do.
I've actually had I have one horse that I have to Magna wave him after I ride him because he gets too amped up. It gets him kind of a little bit more I don't want to say reactive. So we always do him afterwards. And another thing that I think should be noted too is that when you're doing, this is for listeners who've decided, they're like, oh great, now we're going to get into this. If you've had a horse that's had any injections or shots or whatever, it is recommended that you wait the minimum of 3 days before you go in and Magna wave. And that's sometimes hard to remember because we Magna wave on Mondays, and sometimes if you get your fall shots or they've had injections or whatever, you want to wait a couple of days before you Magna wave them.
Yeah, and just to add on to that, if the horse is on any animal is on any sort of medication, the Magna wave will increase the metabolism of the meds. So it's important to try to time the PEMF session so that you're kind of like towards the end. Like if you're going to give the medication, you would want to do the session a little before because you're going to need to give it again anyway. That makes sense. So you've just got to time it a little bit and make sure that that you're timing it as best you can. And then also there's a couple of situations where you would not want to Magna wave while the horse is medicated, like in situations with EPM medications or heartworm meds. You would want to wait until they're done with that treatment before you Magna wave them.
Yeah, I think the recommendation is a week after the last dose has been given.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Can you Magna wave dogs?
Yeah, I do dogs all the time. I've had a lot of allergy dogs this year, which it's been really beneficial with that. So,
how about for things like cruciate ligaments and that seems to be epidemic.
Yeah. Yeah, it works great for soft tissue injuries for sure. The tricky part with that is minimizing their activity level because when they start to feel good, they're difficult.
Especially
to keep them
if
still.
you have an Aussie.
Yes, I have 2 Aussies, so I am familiar with that struggle. I mean, actually, a real what really pushed me over the edge to get my own machine was my beloved Aussie. For whatever silly reason, decided to eat a whole bunch of hay when we were at the barn one day. And long story short, it required a emergency vet visit, and they sent him home with me after they had induced vomiting, and he got rid of as much as he could. And then he hadn't pooped in about 36 hours, so I was concerned about that. And I thought, well, a last ditch effort before I take you back to the emergency clinic, I'll just try to Magna Wave and see if it helps. And I just did it for 15 minutes, and he got up off the couch and went right outside and did it. So
wow.
I was like, yes, I need to have this on hand for any of these strange situations that are always unplanned with animals.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a great testimonial for dog owners.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And how much training, if one of our listeners is listening in going, boy, this would be a great thing for me to have at my barn.
Mm-hmm.
Do they need to become certified first?
It comes with the certification comes with the purchase of a machine through Magna Wave. I'm not sure how any of the other companies run that, but Magna Wave offers them the certification at the time that you purchase a machine.
And the certification is the training.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Then you can compete. You can complete it at your own pace.
Mm-hmm.
Ashley, is there anything else you would like our listeners to know about this really important therapeutic equipment?
Well, I think like letting them know, how would I use this in everyday life? I think that's always important when somebody's deciding whether or not they want to use a modality or buy their own machine. And I think that, there's a long list of conditions that PEMF is known to improve. And I think that it's worth noting that the outward signs that we can see, the relaxation, the increased range of motion, you can feel when you sit on the horse how they feel. I think it's worth just pointing out that those are kind of secondary to what's actually going on below the surface at the cellular level. And I just can't highlight enough how helpful it is that it can induce the body's recycling system for cells, because so much of the illnesses and disease that we see in animals and humans are the direct result of insufficient cell function.
Yeah.
Really at the root of it. So I think that's really the thing I'd like to highlight most.
Well, this has been fascinating. Ashley, thank you so much for coming on Healthy Critters. And her website is allequinethings.com. So feel free to go to her website or contact her if you want to learn more about PEMF therapy. Eddie?
Hello.
Eddie!
Hello, everyone. Hello, hello.
Hello. Everybody's here today, Hetty.
Yeah,
Oh my
you
God,
got the whole
it's
group.
A party is my favorite.
So we just did an interview with a Magna Wave PEMF therapist. So it got us thinking, what kinds of therapy would you like to have?
Psychiatric.
that was my first choice, but I didn't want to say anything.
But not for me.
Oh, for the servant?
For the servant.
But How about therapy for you? What kind of modality would be helpful in your old age?
First of all, if you call me old again, I will end you like the period at the end of a sentence. Secondly, I think it's important to remember that I enjoy chiropractics. My right front foot sometimes gets not so well to stand on, and my human will adjust my neck, and that releases my shoulder, and then my right front foot is fine. Also, that's the foot that was trodden upon by a stupid equine that should have been ended right then, but wasn't.
So no laser therapy for you?
No, thank you. No, I
No
have my
magnet?
ultrasound.
Oh,
No.
ultrasound.
I have my therapeutic ultrasound, which is also sometimes a nice thing. I enjoy that. And I have a back on track that I wear. It's plum colored.
Ooh.
And
So you
can-
do have a variety of modalities at your disposal.
Oh, yes. I mean, even in my dire straits here, things are, I have a minimum standard of care.
If you could add one more modality or a thing of comfort, what would you add? That your servant, besides cheese, that your servant is not providing.
Cheese. Oh, not cheese. I like a heating pad. I like to lie on a nice warm pad put inside a pillowcase or under a nice pad, and then I can rest my bones upon it.
I like that too. I'm right there with you.
Especially when it's winter.
Yes, which it is now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Winter. Mm-hmm.
Well, thanks, Hetty.
You're welcome.
For all our listeners, it's the podcast world only Talking Pomeranian.
Correct.
And her name is Hedwig. And we're always pleased to have her on the show.
It
Thanks,
is an
Hetty.
honor for you. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
It's an honor for me. It's an honor for me. Not that it's an honor for her. Oh my God, that
That's
makes me
Hedwig.
laugh.
And Hedwig has a Facebook page. Ask Hedwig.
Yes.
That's right. So we are at the critter of the show portion of our program today, and I have chosen to do squirrels, mainly because we got rain and all of a sudden they came out from the woodwork, no pun intended. So squirrels are that most people are very familiar with. Squirrels are members of the Sciuridae family. Potentially could have booked it up and offered to us how to say it better, which is a family that includes small to medium-sized rodents. The squirrel family includes many different types of squirrels. Some are ground squirrels, chipmunks, prairie dogs, and even flying squirrels. So I base this off of just the general topic of squirrels because we've had such an influx of them recently. They can be found anywhere in the Americas and even all the way down to Africa. Interestingly enough, they were introduced by humans to Australia. Thought that was kind of a cool fact.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Squirrels typically have very slender bodies with long, bushy, cute tails and very large eyes. In general, they're very soft and silky. Some are much thicker than other species, but the coat color of the squirrel is highly variable in between the different types of species. For instance, there's a gray squirrel and the red squirrel. In most squirrels, the hind limbs are longer than the front limbs, and they have 4 to 5 toes. On each foot, they have a poorly designed thumb and have soft pads on the underside and have very versatile claws for grasping and climbing. I don't understand the point about the not very useful thumb, but that's what it said. Squirrels. This is really interesting. Squirrels live in many different types of climates, ranging from rainforest to desert. Thought that was kind of cool. They're predominantly herbivores. They eat mainly seeds and nuts, but will eat insects and small vertebrates if food is scarce. Squirrels apparently cannot digest cellulose, so they must rely on foods that are rich in protein, i.e., and carbohydrates and fats. That's hence they eat mainly nuts and seeds. And they will supplement on green vegetation if the food sources are scarce. They have beautiful large eyes that indicate they have a very excellent sense of vision, which is important for tree-dwelling types of species. They also have a very good sense of touch. Unfortunately, a lot of the juvenile squirrels do not make it. They die in the first year. Premature death mainly occurs when the nest falls from the tree, which in that case, the mother tends to abandon their young. But we're going to come back to that. The squirrel's tail is not only puffy and cute, but also has many purposes. Some of these purposes are keeps the rain off of them from when it's raining. They also shelter from the wind and cold. They also use their tail for a counterbalance when they're jumping from tree to tree, and it can be used as a parachute, i.e. flying squirrels, which is a whole other species to get into. The squirrel lifespan is between 15 to 18 years. On average, the gestation is anywhere, gestation of them is anywhere from 33 up to 44 days. Squirrels will mate either once or twice a year. The gestation period is anywhere from 3 to 6 weeks, it's just depending on the species, and they will give birth to a number of offspring. Okay, this is my next word that I'm going to try to say well. The young are girls, I'm going to try my best, altricial, which basically means they're born naked, toothless, and blind. Wow. Female tends to the young until they are weaned, which is anywhere from 6 to 10 weeks. Okay, here's the thing that blows me away. They become sexually mature before the end of their first year. I mean, so they're basically having babies before they're done being babies. Squirrels are known to be very intelligent. There's a lot of links to squirrels doing during hot periods have been documented to sploot, which is laying on their stomachs to cool down on surfaces. So if you look up squirrels, you'll see them like up against a tree, and they do the same thing when it gets cold. But I thought the word sploot was cute when you think of a squirrel and their fluffy tail. Like other rodents, they employ species-specific strategies to store food. They are smart to buffer against times when food is scarce. So basically, they know how to pack it away. The biggest threat to squirrels are going to be snakes and coyotes, bobcats, foxes, and hawks. So getting back to the
and Australian shepherds.
And Australian shepherds when they can catch them, and Sheba, you probably don't remember that story, Tigger, about the squirrel that was in our basement in Virginia. Anyway, but I've known several people that ended up having pet squirrels or had saved a squirrel and had it in their house. And this is what I thought was so interesting and a perfect thing to end on is they're known to be very intelligent. And when they have been saved and reintroduced back into the wild, in research, it has shown that squirrels tend to be very friendly, and even though they're wild, are apparently highly intelligent and remember their humans, and in many cases have come back to reconnect with them because they want to come back and see their saviors. They're intelligent. Isn't that cool?
That is really cool. I wonder if they like cheese.
Cheese? Yes. I don't know. I wonder if they like Pomeranians. But I don't know if you know this, but Parker had this is my son-in-law, had a pet squirrel years ago and reintroduced him. But man, that thing was so neat. He would just climb up on him, and I think he had more than one, but it was because the nest had been had fallen from the tree, and he rescued the squirrel, and it had a happy ending because he was reintroduced back into the wild. And kind of a cool story.
Real horses and real dogs are healthier, perform better, and recover more quickly on real food. That's why BioStar empowers horse and canine owners with 100% whole food nutrition, supplements, and feeding programs. BioStar products are made at their own certified non-GMO facility in Gordonsville, Virginia, using real food ingredients that are raw, freeze-dried, or dehydrated, never cooked, and are free from artificial flavors, colors, soy, corn, wheat, and molasses. The BioStar product line includes a wide range of whole food, horse and dog supplements, treats, and unique artisan poultices that embrace the ancient and traditional uses of clay and plants. Visit biostarus.com today and learn about whole foods and canine and equine nutrition so you can make the best decisions about the care and health of your horses and dogs. That's biostarus.com. Whole food nutrition the way nature intended.
And now we're at Critter Nutrition. Topic today is must-haves in your tack trunk. When I was competing, my show trunk held the usual necessities: extra saddle pads, a spare halter, extra girth, assorted bits, clippers, polo wraps, bell boots, tack cleaner, animal Intex, poultice, and standing wraps. On the top shelf, I kept various wound creams like Furazone, Corona, Ichthymol, and a jar of swat. Always had a few tubes of omeprazole too, as my horse Lionheart was notoriously ulcer sensitive. Back in those days, I always kept a box of Domino sugar cubes in my trunk, which I'm horrified today to think about, with a thermometer, hoof pick, jar of SMZs, extra gloves, and duct tape. If I were competing now, I would have 4 other items in my tack trunk: Triguard, Elixir, Remedium Noddy, and Zenmax, some of BioStar's most popular paste syringes. Triguard is an alternative to the ulcer medications designed for preventative use. It is not a proton pump inhibitor like omeprazole. It doesn't stop the important stomach acids from functioning, nor does it cause the rebound effect of omeprazole. Triguard is based on a study done by Haggard Equine on ulcers mitigated by pectin and mushroom polysaccharides. Triguard provides premium-grade apple pectin used in hospitals for wound care, along with sunflower lecithin, lion's mane mushrooms, and sea buckthorn to protect and support strong intestinal mucosa, plus probiotic soil-based organisms to encourage microbiome balance. Triguard has become very popular with show hunters who are on the road and competing a lot and don't want to constantly give omeprazole. Dressage trainer Jim Coford uses Triguard when he competes because he finds his horse is less stressed in his stall and more likely to eat and relax happily at a show when given Triguard. The next paste is Elixir. Elixir is a recovery formula and it helps with rehydration. This is particularly important when horses are stressed and may not drink enough water to keep hydrated or during a sudden weather change. When I formulated Elixir, I had no idea that it could also help to relieve mild colic, failure to thrive syndrome in foals and horses, and lethargy with discomfort. Elixir contains shilajit, an Ayurvedic bioresin that helps regulate and support the mitochondria in cells, which provide the energy for cellular function and all biological processes. Dressage trainer and rider Allison Cavey has had a lot of success with Elixir. She tells us she uses it for mild colics. Once, with a mare struggling to produce enough milk for her day-old foal, both mare and foal dramatically improve within 2 hours of being given Elixir. She also uses the paste during competitions with her performance horses to help them bounce back quickly. Recently, one of her mares had a reaction to a flu shot and was showing lethargy and discomfort. Allison gave the mare Elixir, and a short time later, the mare was back to being herself. Allison's vet has been so impressed with Elixir that he now carries it in his truck for mild colics, scours in foals, and lethargy in horses. Beth Hayes from the Horse of Course Tack Shop reported that at the recent USDF Region 1 dressage finals in Lexington, Virginia, October 2023, a rider was hand walking her horse because the horse had started to colic. Every time the rider stopped, the horse began pawing. The rider had called the vet and while waiting, gave the horse a tube of elixir that one of Beth's employees had grabbed. Within 15 minutes, the horse was relaxed and showing no colic signs. The vet came, said the horse was fine, and the rider ended up returning to the horse, of course, to purchase more tubes of elixir. Some horse owners use elixir during weather changes to increase hydration and reduce the possibility of weather-related impaction or gas colic. I wish I'd had elixir when my horse Lionheart colicked one year at dressage at Devon. Fortunately, with hand walking, the gas colic resolved, but giving him elixir would have no doubt made him more comfortable sooner. Remedium Nadi is an Ayurvedic and traditional Chinese medicine formula backed by modern scientific research. It supports a healthy inflammatory process in horses. It helps with muscle recovery and body balancing through a blend of patented extracts from India, France, Switzerland, and Italy, plus traditionally grown and harvested medicinal mushrooms from China. Because Remedium Nadi is Eastern medicine based, the ingredients help the whole horse, not just specific symptoms. Some horses need muscle support after a day of showing, or they may be feeling the effects of the particular footing in the rings, or are simply older and get a little stiff. Remedium Nadi helps maintain inflammation at a normal level, thus improving recovery time and well-being. An added benefit of Remedium Nadi is the inclusion of holy basil, one of the most revered plants in Ayurveda. As we all know, competitions are stressful for both horse and rider, and Tulsi addresses the effects of stress on the body system at large. Popular with jumpers, show hunters, and ponies, Remedium Nadi, known around the barns as REM, has proven to support comfort and performance. Some riders give Remedium Nadi at night after a class, while others give it 1 to 3 hours before a class. The last paste is Zen Max. In Ayurvedic medicine, adaptogens are substances that help the body adapt to stress, support the adrenal glands, balance cortisol, and encourage a healthy response to physical and mental stresses. While there are many equine calming pastes available, BioStar Zen Max is unique in that it provides the adaptogenic plant or pine rose along with dual extracted reishi mushrooms. Zen Max supports the brain-gut connection, which is the foundation for health and well-being. As we know, stress has a direct effect on the gut microbiome. In turn, the gut microbiome has a direct effect on the brain. For example, the GI tract produces 90% of the body's serotonin, a neurotransmitter responsible for mediating satisfaction, happiness, well-being, and optimism. Therefore, support of the intestinal microbiome is crucial for optimal mental health. That's why this paste has been used across the equestrian world in various disciplines to support horses under stress from competition, from trailering off property, surgical procedures, layups, moving to a new barn, and for helping the horse during training sessions. Whether you compete your horse or prefer to stay home and ride, having BioStar paste in your tack trunk can provide a little bit of security to support your horse quickly and effectively. All of our pastes are show safe. Now we're at Coffee Klatch, and the question of the day is, does your dog get table scraps? Patty?
I mean, you know they do. They're so cute. I will say this, I don't do a lot because my Aussies who are, they go to work with me every single day. I mean, they are Perucci dressage. It's me. Well, I'm underneath them. I work for them. But they encounter a lot of different people. And initially I was never a very big, I don't like to give table scraps at the table because I feel like that makes them beg. And then I realized that even though I hadn't done that, they were already begging. So I thought, what the heck? Let's just go ahead. And when I go to the barn, there are a lot of people that will eat, and everybody always asks permission. Now, having said that, I'm very careful about what they get, and I don't give them a lot of extra stuff. I try to keep it kind of whole food baseline, like meat and whatever. But so the basic answer is yes, they do. Yes.
Jennifer, did your greyhounds get table scraps?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
No, our first two greyhounds were pretty rugged. The third one we had an extremely sensitive stomach, so she had a very strict diet. But our dogs got all kinds of table foods growing up as kids, but when I started getting my own animals as an adult, table scraps were an absolute no-no. Not that I didn't mind them having human food, but it was never a case of a table scrap. So if we had some leftover something from a meal, it went with their kibble in their bowl at mealtime. Yeah. Because who doesn't love a leftover hot dog or something? But it was yeah. I'm very much no. You do not feed the dog from the couch, from the table, because a begging dog, that's almost as bad as a begging horse. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't feed table scraps from the table. And my dogs half of them are raw and half of them are home cooked. I don't let them lick plates. However, I have this 7-month-old Aussie puppy who has this penchant. And if it is sitting comfortably on the TV tray and I get up from the couch and go to the bathroom, I will find him freaking out of my God. And the first time it happened, I thought, oh my God, he's going to die. And I was totally and completely freaked out. But I can report that milk chocolate doesn't seem to be deadly to this particular dog.
Wow.
Fortunately, the others have not taken up after his penchant for chocolate milk. But I think where we've gone wrong in dog feeding is that we're not giving dogs, human food with their kibble or with their meals. I think that's important. And certainly our grandparents, fed table scraps into the dog's bowl as a matter of course. So I just want to be clear that I am all for table scraps, but I don't want the dogs waiting at the dinner table for them.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement on that one.
Yeah.
We are, even though my apparently trained me.
Well, that's universal as well.
They're just...
So where do you stand on feeding your dog table scraps? If you don't do it, fine. Or if you feel guilty, don't feel guilty.
Thanks for listening, everyone, and thanks to our sponsor, BioStar US. You can find them online at biostarus.com. For details about today's show, go to healthycrittersradio.com, where you can find links, photos, and more information about our guests.
As always, we love your feedback. Please follow us on Facebook under Healthy Critters Radio.
Be sure to visit all the great shows on Horse Radio Network at horseradionetwork.com.